Yo, what's up everybody? It's Drewberry and it's bright and early right now because I wanted to cover this patch really quickly. It seems like a precursor to a bigger patch that's going to be coming later down the line because this is just the OTA and it seems like a sneak peek to what's to come, especially to the biggest card in Marvel Snap, the most meta defining card, and that is Thanos. So here are all of the changes that have happened in this OTA today. You can take a look and dip, no problem, but we're going to break down each one really quickly and I'm going to give my opinion on a few of these because it's a little bit spicy and I'm a little frustrated with some of them, but we'll get to it. All right, so starting off with Thanos, and this change is interesting. So starts in your opening hand and shuffles the 6 Infinity Stones into your deck. So I find this text extremely confusing, but thankfully a few of the creators helped me out understand it. So essentially it's the exact same. It's the exact same. I know they shuffled around the text, but it's the exact same, but Thanos is going to start in your opening hand. The way I interpreted it, because they took out start of game, was that maybe you would draw Thanos, then the Infinity Stones go into your deck, so the opening 3 cards that you draw would not contain a stone. It is still possible that one of those 3 will contain a stone. However, Thanos is guaranteed to be one of those cards. That's how this works. That's the change, which is definitely not the end. Okay, so they're definitely setting up for something else, probably more changes to the Infinity Stones, so stay tuned for that. But as it stands right now, they're defining it as a nerf because apparently the analytics show that when you draw Thanos, it has a much lower win rate than when you don't. But I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that necessarily, even if the analytics say that, because now we have the potential to just always have a finisher in our hand. And yeah, the stones are great, but we can still draw those pretty consistently. So just seems like a pretty big W for Thanos, and then maybe downside for Blob. You can use Taskmaster, you can use Wave to cheat out Thanos, and then maybe his quest is a little bit more difficult to complete, but as you'll see on the next card, it's making it a little bit easier. So the Time Stone has been changed, and now it's going to give Thanos, specifically Thanos, -1 cost next turn, and you're going to draw a card once again. Before, they changed it to giving a discount to the next card that you draw, and now it's only specifically discounting Thanos, which makes him a 5/10 and maybe a 5/20 in the right conditions if you can burn through your deck, and it's now going to let you draw a card again, so that's just great. You can burn through your deck even faster. Yeah, that seems interesting, right? Obviously not as good as just, you know, maybe discounting something else or giving you bonus energy like it once used to, but time will tell to see what they do with the other stones, because the way it seems is they're really focusing in on Thanos. He's going to be the main centerpiece. I could imagine the rest of the stones changing, like Space Stones Space Stone allows Thanos to move at any time, right? So if you cheat him out early, you can then move him like Vision or something like that. That's a guess. Reality Stone, when you play Thanos on reveal, it changes the location. The Soul Stone, you now Thanos is the one with the aura. I could see it being like something like this, but we'll find out when the patch drops on April 9th is the confirmed date for the patch, and that'll have a little bit more details. For now, not a huge fan of the way they worded it on Thanos. Interesting direction, but I really am pretty neutral on this one so far. The next one is Crossbones, and I'm happy to see Crossbones get a little bit of love, but I also find the timing very odd. So they release Cull Obsidian of 410, who's clearly better power creeping Crossbones, and they leave him out in a valuable asset to have in your deck and obtain for 2 months, because that's the prime opportunity to spend money and buy the card, and then they buff Crossbones to be more in level with the rest of the 4 drops, which seems to be just general power creep, and power creep focused on the monetization of the game. So it's just, I don't know, it's a weird one to me, but I'm happy to see Crossbones be actually a good card, and I do think he's going to be a good card. 10 power at a location you're already winning just kind of solidifies that location. Now you got to watch out for Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi stocks go up, he can destroy Crossbones, but War Machine stocks go up because I think the pair were already a very good pair and now got a little bit better, and Zabu can make this a 310 if you can at least play it at a winning location. So definitely a W for Crossbones, but I just find the direction of the bounce and just generally the power creep and snap is just going up, which I know it does happen in card games. That's just inevitable, pun intended, but you know, it's interesting to see. to say the least. Sabertooth also got a buff, and this one I can, level with a little bit more because Destroy was never really running Sabertooth. And even though this still is an instance of power creep, let's be real, because there used to be a lot more 3/4s with decent abilities, and now you have to basically be a 3/5 to compete and have a good ability. So yeah, Sabertooth needed a buff, and he got a buff. He got to 3/5, and that's pretty good for Venom, for instance. You can destroy Sabertooth, absorb all that power, and then you can play Sabertooth later on and have 5 power. Galactus even, because you can destroy Sabertooth, and then on that final turn, if you were able to cheat out Galactus early, you can play a free 5 power card, and then Null gets all that power just like Venom would, and then you can play Sabertooth later on. So pretty good. Maybe Sabertooth starts to splash into some destroy lists. He's made it every now and then, but usually ends up getting cut. So this one more so than Crossbones, I'm a little excited to see. But I mean, they are weaker cards. I'm happy to see these cards come into play. It was more so the timing of Cull Obsidian and Crossbones that has me a little bit, unsettled. But anyways, I am excited to play around with a little bit more Sabertooth because, man, look at this variant that I have. I love this Savage Lance variant. It's so good. I need to use it more. Let's go. Angela is going back to her old self. Now, this is a very welcome change and possibly my favorite one on the list because Angela used to be a very good card. She was like a staple 2-cost card. And she's one of the cards that new players start throwing in every single one of their decks because it's a good learning tool, just gets a lot of power, and it's just solid. And it also has a lot of counters because if she gets out of control, you start to see a lot more Shadow King in the meta, or Shang-Chi, already prevalent in the meta but can probably destroy Angela if she gets a little out of control. But essentially now if you play 3 cards at Angela's location, she's going to go to 6 power. That's a 2/6, and that's pretty good. But of course there's better synergies than that. You can use Kitty Pryde to bounce repeatedly at the Angela location so that she just gets +2 power almost every turn, and Kitty Pryde's going to get that +1, go back to the hand. The 2 are inseparable. But then you got other things like movement, so you can play Jeff there, get the 2 power. Jeff can move off, and it opens up another spot for you to play another card like Nightcrawler or Vision or Silk, and she bounces off Spider-Man. So that silky smooth deck that used to be pretty relevant in the meta about 6 months ago now, maybe is going to make a bit of a comeback with Angela coming back to her regular old self. I'm happy to see it. The 2 power off the main body is not necessarily a problem. The scaling on the effect is what matters. So pretty excited to see this one. And then lastly, there is MIEK, and I really don't have much to say about MIEK. MIEK's a very good card in the discard package. He lost a point of power, but it's not a huge deal because he's going to scale to good points of power later on, hopefully, if you can play him at the right time. Obviously a weaker turn 6 play, but I don't think it negatively affects the discard package too much. There's no card that directly takes a hit. You can look at stuff like Corvus, Hellcow, MODOK, these high volume discard cards, maybe losing a point of power, but I don't think it's a huge deal. Still a very strong option in discard because the surprise factor of not knowing where that power is going to land, moving it where you want on the final turn or whenever you can, is very powerful. So I think MIEK's just fine. It's not going to change much. So that's it for the OTA. I hope you guys enjoy it, but there's going to be a lot more coming soon. The patch, I expect to have even bigger balance changes, bigger data mines, hopefully a new game mode, hopefully something to spice it up because I feel like it's been a bit of a dry 2024. We haven't had a whole lot to get excited about, and I think we are due. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.